Round two of the Liberty A-League takes us back to Coopers Stadium, which was a house of fun last Sunday as Adelaide United drew 4-4 in their season opener. Will we get more of the same when they take on the Central Coast Mariners for the first time since November 2009 tonight? It is part of a big A-League Women's A-League Men's doubleheader, and the fans are in early to enjoy some Liberty A-League action here. Young, extremely young, and old. Surface is in pristine condition here as we look at the Adelaide team. Claudia Jenkins will make her A-League Women's debut after a concussion to goalkeeper Annalie Grove. Emily Condon drops off the bench, unavailable, so there could be a debut for the number 32, Madeline Wright. Otherwise, it's 10 of the 11 starters that played in the 4-4 draw last week against Canberra United. Visiting Central Coast Mariners make 3 changes to the starting 11. Still no Kaya Simon, but we will see Paige Hayward for the first time this season. Ergamal and Peter Trimis will also make their first club starts. There is Mariah Lee, one of 4 Adelaide attackers that scored in the opening round last weekend. Incredibly, none of the 1,900 A-League women's fantasy players had Mariah in their team. She wants to prove a point about that and go 2 from 2 today. And there is the Chinese 2-cap international Ergamal from the Inner Mongolian province. And a first start now, having come off the bench in the 1-0 defeat to Newcastle Jets last weekend. Mariners getting to wear their home kit for the first time this season after debuting in the away kit last weekend. We see the captains Dylan Holmes and Taryn King making their way up to our officiating crew, which will be led by Casey Rybelt today, with Emma Kotzbeck on the right as we look at the referees. Beck Mackey, the 4th official, and Maggie Price, the other assistant referee, to the left. And it looks as though the coin toss is going pretty well out there at the moment. Who's going to win? That's the question. There we go. Central Coast Mariners get the nod. Taryn King gets the first minor victory of the day. So the Adelaide team warming up there. And it's going to be a big test for them with the number 21 there at the end of the line. Claudia Jenkins on debut with no Annalie Grove. So it's an exciting moment for the 25-year-old getting her first appearance in the Liberty A-League. There is the Central Coast Mariners coach, Em Husband. Perhaps buoyed by a bit of history. Central Coast Mariners won all 3 meetings against Adelaide United when they were in the league in 2008 and 9, scoring 14 and conceding none along the way. Wonder if that winning streak and trend can continue. Mariners in the huddle then. They're looking for their first goal since returning, let's not forget. Adelaide bench, Adrian Stenter there, just obscured from view at the moment, but no doubt we'll hear him as part of the soundtrack of today's action. Adelaide about to break out of their huddle. Ergamal, a fascination. We've seen Chinese nationals in the league before. Let's see how she goes here. The A-Leagues invites you to join in a moment of silence as we remember the innocent victims in Israel and Gaza. We offer our heartfelt sympathies to the victims, their families, and the communities impacted. I'm joined in commentary today by young Matildas coach Leah Blaney. Leah, before you head into camp on Monday, you've got another weekend of Liberty A-League to look forward to. What excites you about today's clash?
I certainly do, and I'm really looking forward to tonight's match. Last time we were at Cooper's, we saw end-to-end action, we saw goals galore, and I'm hoping it's just as entertaining.
Courtney Newbon there was signed just 90, well, announced as having signed just 90 minutes before the Mariners debuted last week. So how valuable is a week in training for her as the #1 keeper?
Oh, it's extremely valuable for her to get used to working with the back five unit that the Central Coast play, and credit to young Newbon who stepped in and was fantastic last week. So
Adelaide in the red to attack the left of your screens in this first half. Will we get the same action-packed end-to-end contest that their match against Canberra was? Central Coast had a much lower tempo, bit of an arm wrestle against Newcastle, decided by a late goal last weekend. So a contrast in styles, at least based on what we've seen so far. Time to get round 2 of the Liberty A-League underway. And Sarah Morgan immediately playing a ball out to the left, and Jenna Holtz, one of the American connections. But Adelaide still affected by a number of injuries that they suffered in pre-season. Emily Condon dropping out today, still no Nanako Sasaki, Isabel Hodgson, Marushka Waldus. So there's quite a few gaps that younger players and less experienced players get to fill in this Adelaide team today.
Definitely hampered by a few injuries, and I think it's exciting that we're going to see those players come into Stenter's side throughout the season and add value. We saw last week in terms of Adelaide's play, he's got a distinct style, lots of little triangles over the field, short, sharp passes. I'm actually excited to see how this team builds.
Central Coast now first possession of the match. Jasmine Wardlow, the American central defender, playing a long left-footed pass here for Ergamal to go and chase, and immediately we get to see what might be one of the duels within this contest throughout the course of the day. Ella Tonkin, the centre-back, against Ergamal, the centre-forward. Adelaide in a little bit of a jam here, but the ball is going to break kindly to the centre of defence. Now the outlet pass. Can they make the most of it? Hannah Blake, the Kiwi international. Probably say on the very, very outer fringes of New Zealand selection though, but a big season in the Liberty A-League might just put her back in contention to get into the national team.
We've seen it time and time again where internationals come into the league and it propels their journeys within their own national teams, and it's exciting.
Here's Dylan Holmes feeding the ball out to the right, but Mariah Lee can't make a run at it because Jasmine Wardlow is there. Fascinating story. Was playing in Italy, came to Melbourne for 6 weeks to play for Brunswick Juventus, helped them win promotion, and now she finds herself in the Liberty A-League. Here's Dylan Holmes, deflected to Lee. Adelaide working through the right channel, trying to make some headway here, and Wardlow doesn't let them any further. This is Alana Janchevsky down to Sarah Morgan. Dispossessed on this occasion by Ergamal, but look at the backtracking Lee, full of energy. And now saying, where are my passing options? Sends it out to the left back. And Holtz. So Adelaide trying to make the pace early, and Central Coast Mariners, seemingly for the first couple of minutes at least, just absorbing for now.
They are, and it's expected that Adelaide are going to come out and try and set the tempo, and that's the challenge for this Central Coast side this week. I'd like to see them play with a little bit more intensity in possession and out of possession, and I'm sure we're going to see some special things from this group.
There's Sarah Morgan, incredibly playing for her 4th team in the Liberty A-League. Previous stints at Canberra, Perth and Wanderers, and today is only game number 16 of her young career. So hopefully, now that it's a 22-game season, Lee, she might play more games this campaign than all 3 other clubs she's played for in the past combined.
I'd say that's definitely the intent with the move to Adelaide, and it's not uncommon for players to seek quality match minutes.
Janchevsky through ball, a great pass, and offside is the decision. Maggie Price, the assistant referee, over on the outer side, just when it looked like Hannah Blake might have stolen a march on the Mariners' defence. And after one of the assists we saw from Janchevsky last week, they've got to be really worried about passes from that sort of range, the Mariners.
They definitely do, and the thing with Janchevsky is that because she is both-footed, you actually have to deny her the ability to face forward in those situations, because we know that she's going to be able to unlock defences.
Emily Hodgson. Pass given away. Wardlow Battle ensues in midfield. Holtz here. Ergamal not afraid to roam around the forward line and now plays a teasing ball to Woods. Roller Badawia. It's sat up and then it's booted away by Tonkin. Perhaps late contact from Badawia.
And it's early days, but really pleasing just to see the positioning of the Central Coast wingbacks. They're positioned higher, they're on that last line. There's definitely a greater intent for the game to be played in this middle to front third from this group.
Annabelle Martin now. Here's Peter Trimmis. Just 17 years of age, making her first start in the Liberty A-League after coming off the bench last week. Martin's pass. Badawia just muscled off the ball there. And that's a confidence-building first touch for Claudia Jenkins, the 25-year-old from Adelaide City. And very much like her deputy, Grace Wilson, she's got the short hair, the peroxide rinse. They look like twins when they're doing the goalkeeper warm-up.
And just notice the use of Sarah Morgan's body there. She does just enough that she doesn't foul. She gets in the way of the attacker. And that's an excellent recovery run by a centre midfielder.
Paige Hayward up against her former team today. Although there's not too many familiar faces from previous seasons for Hayward going up against Adelaide. Actually scored her only A-League women's goal on this venue, Cooper Stadium, a couple of years ago. Free kick here with some protestation, and the Mariners set pieces were their best avenue to goal last weekend, so no doubt Adelaide would have done their homework on what they might be trying.
They definitely did have some threatening moments, and whether it's King who's executing from deeper or Galich had some very, very good looks on goal. Adelaide will have to be well set up to handle these.
Watch out for the number 8 Galich here, first head. That's exactly where the ball went. You called it, Leah, but not quite the direction to trouble Jenkins in goal.
No, and you can see the Adelaide defence, they've dropped a little bit earlier there to protect that space in behind and provide a little bit more protection for Jenkins and give her just a little bit of confidence to patrol those kind of areas.
Here's the replay picture-in-picture. If that had ended up in, I think there might have been a decent shout for Rosetta Taylor that Galich was climbing on top of her, but incidental. Play continues, and now Central Coast can defend from the front here. Holtz, who has moved to Australia where she was previously playing in Spain in the second division.
5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds.
Holtz again. And uncompromising attempt at the tackle from Annabelle Martin. Speaking of players with multiple stops, Martin on her 4th A-League Women's Club as well, having previously played at Victory, Newcastle and the Wellington Phoenix. She's closing in on 50 games, but the vast majority of them were played for the Victory. Wardlow will break out to the left with a bit of space. Now the crossfield pass. Intercepted comfortably enough by Zoe Tolland. But then given away. Hayward. Leaves it for Badawia. Now Galich to dictate from midfield. Shooting from distance. Didn't quite have the trajectory to trouble Claudia Jenkins.
And we probably want to see Galich have a little bit more patience there. Jenkins is on her line, potentially drive and commit one of those Adelaide defenders and look to thread something through as an alternative.
And now the Mariners are just starting to turn the screws. Do you like the decision to shoot from distance?
I don't. Yeah, the goalkeeper's on her line, and I think Galich is a smart enough player, as I mentioned. If she can drive and commit one of those defenders, she had forward runs off her. I think it's a better choice.
Attempted cross here will sit up. Potentially dangerous. Ergamal charges in. Now Hayward leads the race out to the left flank for Central Coast. Will look up and face Hodgson. Those two would have trained each other for the last 2 seasons, but Hayward decided not to take her on. What were you like coming up against former teammates and former clubs, Leah? Did you have a long memory, or were you good at putting those sort of things out of your mind?
I think I just got on with it. Took each game as it was, and you know, everyone you come up against at the end of the day is an opponent on that pitch.
Paige Hayward here. Might be with a point to prove. We'll wait and see. That's Adrian Stenter, as promised, providing a bit of the soundtrack of the game, shouting from the sidelines. Morgan takes over in midfield, and now Lee has space to go. Adelaide can break. Central Coast backpedaling here. The pass lacked a bit of energy. Janchevsky moving it on, though. Good defensive header away by Irwin. Tolland consolidates on the ball. Taylor dispossessed. Now Martin's long ball will be easily collected by the keeper.
And just on Lee, Central Coast are going to have to be mindful of her dropping in between the lines there, whether one of the central defenders follows in or they pass her on. That's going to have to be communicated so that she can't face forward and attack that space like we just seen.
Possession just over 60% at present for Adelaide United. And they're looking to make the most of it here. Rosetta Taylor. Oh, misdirected pass. And there were numbers breaking out to the right for Adelaide. Central Coast able to capitalise on a let-off. Taylor's an interesting case. Has been living in Spain and England for the last 7 years. But is only 22 years old, so someone out of sight, out of mind for both Australia and New Zealand, where she's played youth internationals. Fascinating to see her come back. Like a younger version of a Paige Hayward, I guess, who herself was in the college system and then playing in Germany and didn't really pop up in the A-League Women's, even though she was an Australian, until she was in her mid-20s. So we see a free kick here. Izzy Gomez conceding the foul. Pretty uncompromising midfielder.
Yeah, and you can see Gomez there. She's just a little bit late with leaving her leg in for that challenge, and I think the foul is warranted.
Janchevsky flicked it on, but Warlow is there to knock it back away. What's happened to Gomez here? Maybe just something in the eye. A speck of dust, perhaps. Looks all right to continue. Adelaide looking to work the right. Hodgson to Lee. Has two defenders to engage. Spins back. Janchevsky. Caught in possession this time. Badawir can launch from deep for the Central Coast. Trimis. Who's making a run? Ergamal has to hold the ball up, and the Adelaide midfield converged and one possession away. And now Jenkins from the back. Flick header on. Lee trying to read the bounce of the ball. Sends it back to Taylor. Now Blake is making space on the left. That's where the ball is going. Hannah Blake. Well, first touch. Showed too much of it to Annabelle Martin, and she just booted it away.
And look, there's some right ideas by Adelaide in terms of this build-up, just lacking a little bit of pass quality at times and individual technique with the first touch, as mentioned.
Galich intercepted this time. Holmes able to slalom past in the end. And now from the flank, Taylor back inside, and Dylan Holmes is denied by Courtney Newbon. Point blank range, but goalkeeper able to smother the ball and block it away.
And Newbon does really well to come off her line, and you can see that she closes down that near post angle well, so it becomes predictable that that's going to come across the face of the 6-yard box. Excellent acceleration by the young goalkeeper to come out and collect that. And
you saw the toe poke, but it didn't really have any air to breathe. It was straight into Newbon as soon as it left the boot. And so Courtney Newbon playing for her third A-League Women's Club after stints at Wanderers and Perth. Today's just career appearance number 15 for her, but that's the life of a number 2 goalkeeper at times. She would have been to every venue in the country, you know, previous A-League Women's stints. Just without ever getting on the field, you do the warm-up and you wait on the bench for an injury or a card or the opportunity to play.
It certainly is. It's a very unique position that takes a lot of resilience and the ability to be a good teammate and continue to improve until you are that number 1.
Of course, the deputy for Central Coast Mariners, Chloe Carmichael, on the bench has yet to make her debut as well. Sarah Langman, the number 1 that the club signed at the start of the season, still out injured. The referee, Casey Rybelt, here is just going to give a talking to Ashley Irwin here for being a little overzealous in the last tackle. M. Husband, generally not, in my experience, at least at NPL level, not the most vocal coach on the sideline.
No, not what we've seen to date, and you know, everybody has their own way and their own style, and I'm looking forward to seeing what M. Husband brings to this season with her own flavour and way of doing things.
Of course, was Coach of the Year with Sydney University in 2022 as they finished top of the league in New South Wales, and now is the only senior women's coach in the competition this season. Unfortunately, no Australians holding that title. Husband, of course, is English. Mad Leeds fan. As we see the ball cleared here. Lee. That first burst of acceleration is hard to deal with. Even harder when you give the ball back in a second chance. But the pass doesn't quite have the bend on it to bring Hannah Blake into play.
Yeah, and I'd actually like to see Lee playing a little bit higher. She's dropping in quite deep. You know, I kind of more see her as a more direct player in front of goal as opposed to a playmaker. So if she can sort of position herself higher, we can see players like Alani Janchevsky, Morgan, Holmes starting to orchestrate those attacks.
Errant pass into a midfield battle, but Gomez is going to bail the Mariners out here. Shouts are offside. Ergamal, ball keeps rolling. Flag does go up. And Paige Hayward not threaded through on the left. You see the frustration for Ergamal. That's Emma Kotzbeck, the assistant referee there.
But what's pleasing to see from this Central Coast side, and you can see the player receiving the ball on the last line at the moment, is we're seeing the first 15-16 minutes of this game played in this middle to front third. Last week they were pinned in against the Jets. They were playing in the back third. So there's already an improvement in this Central Coast side.
There's Ella Tonkin, very highly rated young central defender. Played the first 5 games of last season and then sadly missed the rest of the campaign with a foot injury. How's she tracking, Leah? 1 week back. Are we looking at 100% here or still getting match fitness up to A-League Women's level?
Look, she's obviously just been away with our U23 national team where she got good minutes, and I'm excited to see how she progresses this season. She's an excellent defender at the forefront, as well as has good distribution skills.
I think one thing to watch for with Tonkin, set-piece defence and headers. Now, that defence will have to be on show. Badawia breaking down the right, numbers in the middle, and Badawia did not get the cross she was hoping for. Too close to the keeper, even though Trimis and Ergamal were calling for the ball in the middle, and that is one of the best chances of the game so far. Adelaide on notice. Leah, talk us through it picture in picture.
Yeah, as you can see, in terms of Badawia, does she potentially take her first touch in front of Tolan there, where Tolan now has to make a decision to slow down? It's a tough angle for her to shoot and try and beat the goalkeeper. So that's one option, or she cuts the ball back to a teammate.
Giveaway here in a very dangerous position. Galich looks across. Badawia trying to make amends immediately, and from a prone position could not swing while seated. The first shot saved. And then Jenkins was able to clamber onto the ball. Mariners getting closer.
And that's an excellent decision by Galich to play that across the face of the 6-yard box. And you see the no-look pass from Izzy Gomez. The passing ranges and the disguise on the pass of her actually initiates this attack.
You saw there the desperate second swing at the loose ball there from Roller Badawia, but couldn't reach out to it. Martin with a shallow cross, and this time held on to, but the game has swung. Mariners enjoying their best spell of the action so far. Adelaide looking to swing it end to end. And that pass is going to miss Blake and tail out for a throw.
And as I mentioned, that's Lee there. I think we need to see her higher on that last line, and Adelaide actually finding her feet. I don't believe she's a playmaker type of player. Let Janchevsky do that. Let Holmes do that. They're clever and have good ideas there.
Right now, it's the Mariners winning the territory battle, though. Paige Hayward turns, fires, and it's batted away for a corner. Paige Hayward cut onto the right side, and that looked like it was definitely intended to be a shot and forced to save.
And as you can see, the concern there is that Ergamol is unmarked in the box and Barawia. So that's definitely something that the Adelaide United defence are going to want to have to tighten up when deliveries are coming in. As for Jenkins,
header here at the back post, and it only catches the side netting. Wardlow, who had a chance to score from a header last week against the Jets, couldn't find the target but did find a defender. So it'll be repeat corners from opposite sides of the pitch.
And as I was just saying, in terms of Jenkins's role in that, she needs to be organising and making sure that these runners are being tracked into the box.
You'd have to say Mariners have got the height advantage between Wardlow, Badawia, King. Plenty of targets to aim for. Annabelle Martin on corner taking duty. Loads up with an in-swinger. Skims away from King. Wardlow beyond the back post. Mariners look to recycle possession. Irwin pops it back in. Shouts for offside. And those shouts are heated. Not enough Mariners got behind the last defender. And all of a sudden, it's a really good 5-minute spell here for the Central Coast as the away team.
It is, and as I've mentioned, it's an improvement from last week's game where they spent the first 20 or so minutes pinned in. They're creating half chances, they're putting numbers forward, we're seeing their wing backs add to the attack. It's a pleasing start for the husband's side.
So here goes Hayward. Now Gomez. We saw one beautiful slide rule pass earlier. Mariners have to retreat on this occasion though. Adelaide not pressing the midfield. That gives Galich plenty of time to dictate, but the pass is intercepted. M. Husband is up in the technical area now, encouraging her side. So about a quarter of the way through the day's action. Scoreless so far, but not for a lack of trying. It feels like the first goal is not far away to get round 2 started in the Liberty A-League. Neat little underneath pass here. And the cross is too close to the keeper. Badawia, 1 goal for Sydney FC last season in 9 appearances. Did make a cameo appearance in the grand final. Through ball attempted again here, nearly Trimis away. Lee able to protect the ball well and then show that burst of acceleration out to the left. Blake isolated here against Irwin, who does well to turn her back and force her to concede territory.
And that's going to be the thing for Adelaide throughout this game, because they do play in such a narrow shape. When they do win the ball back, breaking into wide areas, having quick support around the player. So Blake there in that moment, she is isolated. She's 1v1. Adelaide want to create overloads out there. You want a 2v1. You want people overlapping around the outside if that's where the space is, underlapping if the space is inside, and really starting to stretch this Central Coast side.
How much of that is training it in training sessions during the week and knowing when you can and can't take that risk, and how much of it is just identifying it in the game?
It's a bit of both. In terms of creating width, it's a principle of play that should be taught from a young age. So it definitely becomes an identification thing, but also tactically, you're playing against a back 3. There's space there.
Oh, offside flag has not been the friend of either team at the moment as they stretch the defensive line. Goes up again here as Blake was trying to break through. That's the 4th of the game now, and even to the naked eye, that looks like a pretty good call.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And as you can see, in terms of the Central Coast backline, they're disciplined, they're setting a higher line there, and that's a part of the clinical offside trap.
Wardlow to Hayward. A hurried pass. Not quite to the advantage of Tonkin to bring it down, though. Badawia to Urgamal. Let's see what Urgamal can do. Breaking into the area. And Trivis not able to arrive before Jenkins. Goalkeeper bravely diving in with her opponent coming from the blind side. But Urgamal able to break into attack there. But just when it was time to pull the trigger, Adelaide were able to close it down. Now the Mariners can press. And this may cause some issues, but Adelaide cool heads prevail. Blake leaves it with Lee. Midfield converges upon her, and the Mariners win it back. Now Martin with Badawia on the outside. And ultimately forces Tolland to concede the throw.
And as you can see with Urgamal here, in terms of her ability to impact the front third, she's already doing that. She's getting in and around, creating chances in the box, and I think she's going to be a threat for the remainder of this game.
Bouncing ball into the area, rolling off the defender very nicely was Galich, but then right when it was time to cut the ball across, it just didn't sit for her. Now the long shot comes in. Gomez cleared away once again. Mariners continue to press. Martin, Galich, clever run! And it flashes through the box. Hayward couldn't get goal-bound contact. They're lining up in the penalty area here, Central Coast. Can they put it in the net? Wardlow. And Adelaide can just bring their defence up a few steps. Gomez. Wardlow again. And now Hayward. Cuts inside, and Urgamal just stuck the wrong side of Tonkin to be able to roll onto the ball.
And it's a subtle thing, but you notice the movement of Tonkin there, where I've touched on that she's a defender first. She does just enough to get her body between the player and the ball without fouling. Really good defending by young Tonkin.
Morgan out to Janchevsky. Dispossessed by Hayward. A battle ensues.
Stay, Hannah, stay, Hannah, stay.
Irwin's long ball. One for the runners to go and chase, and Trimis is just outpointed here as Tonkin goes back to the keeper. Lee bumped and fouled. Taryn King protests, but instant decision for the referee.
And that's probably one that Taryn King actually passes on in that moment, given that Central Coast are playing with a back three, and she's drawn so deep there. I'd be communicating to Gomez ahead that she actually picks up that runner coming into that zone, as opposed to King leaving the line.
See the foul count there. Just the 4 so far through almost half an hour, so pretty clean game. Lee. Deflected cross, and then goes to ground after the defence had cleared away. Urgamal has come very deep to help out the midfield. Plays it through the left, and Trimis is trying to use her acceleration here to get away, but that is good backtracking by Tonkin. And now another foul in midfield will go Adelaide's way. This time it was Morgan who was knocked over. Sarah Morgan, who played the full season in NPL New South Wales alongside Roller Badawia at Northwest Sydney Spirit, so those two will know each other pretty well today. They are combatants for the cause of this match. Dangerous pass into a 50-50, and Irwin had to commit and then managed to get through a gauntlet of players. And the long ball is through. Paige Hayward is not going to be able to chase it down because it's offside again. Third of the game now for the Central Coast.
Yeah, and in terms of our front runners here, they really do need to look across the line and time their run and make sure that they are staying onside in that area of the field. There's an enormous space in behind, and if they can stay onside and receive that ball, they're going to be on to goal.
Hodgson from right back. Lee cuts it inside. Janchevsky, beautiful ball. Adelaide, great chance here, around the keeper, and a last-ditch tackle saves the day. Brilliant defending from the Central Coast, but it's come at a cost here for Ashley Irwin. She's down and hurt, but she's managed to save her team a goal after the keeper was taken out. And Adelaide with their best chance to score so far. Leah Blaney, what a pass from Janchevsky.
Oh, it's a fantastic little no-look pass by Janchevsky on a non-dominant foot as well. And I mentioned it before, we want players like Janchevsky feeding forward players for Adelaide. She's able to unlock the defence. The weight of the pass is superb. And in terms of Irwin, it's last-ditch defending.
Just wondering, was it maybe Irwin catching her face against the shin or the leg of Rosetta Taylor, who was the player through there? Ultimately, the referee writes a blow play dead for a head injury, which continues to be treated out there on the pitch. Half an hour gone. Ergamal has been the big threat for the Central Coast at one end, but now it was Adelaide's turn to have a big chance at the other. So both teams are going to huddle up here. Use this almost as a timeout situation. Irwin's back on her feet. That's the good news. Adrian Stetter watches on. So here's the chance. Talk us through Rosetta Taylor. We spoke about the pass. What about Taylor's decision here?
Yeah, look, obviously her first touch has taken her outside of that central goal zone, and you know, a goal's a goal, whether it's a toe poke or whatever that looks like. She did need to finish that with what was available for her, and she's probably tried to be a little bit too clever with rounding Newbon there.
So a great chance for Adelaide goes begging. Ashley Irwin doing the desperate defending. Adelaide perhaps encouraged that they've weathered the storm from the Mariners for now.
And this is an important part of the game in terms of the momentum. So we've seen Central Coast control most of this 30 minutes and be on top with the momentum. They want to sustain that. They don't want Adelaide to create the half chances we've just seen and take that momentum back.
Morgan caught in possession. Ergamal. Red shirts everywhere. And the attack may yet continue. Lee, early ball. Took a big deflection and reared up though. So the Mariners can put it back on the deck, albeit briefly. Hayward. And a foul here will go Central Coast's way. Ergamal tumbling out of the way. Not part of the China World Cup squad, but of course the Chinese national team did play a game in Adelaide. Didn't go too well for them when they were beaten by England.
Yeah, not sure they had the best time at Cooper's Stadium.
So here's the free kick. First head is again Galich. Deflection, looping. And now that ball, I think the reason it took a deflection, it was off the face of Bianca Galich, so she's down. I don't think she'll be down for long. Of course, today is just her second A-League women's game back from a knee reconstruction that ruled her out for all of last season. Right there, into the face.
And once again, we see from the deep free kick from Taryn King, Galich is free in the box, and that's that can't happen for this Adelaide defence. So whether it's Jenkins organising, whoever's losing their markers in this moment, it's something that they're going to have to tidy up, or they're going to concede. Galich is a quality player if she can make contact.
So now a free kick inside the attacking half of the Central Coast, and, well, another set-piece opportunity for Adelaide to show what they've learnt in the run here, because the Mariners have been asking questions. Corners, free kicks and crosses from open play have all proven a threat so far, but can they make it work for the opening goal? Taryn King on free kick duty. First head is Adelaide this time, and Dylan Holmes puts it behind for a corner kick.
Yeah, and Holmes has done well there in terms of her positioning. Now it's about redirecting it into a good area so you're not conceding corners. She does well to drop at the right time. She makes first contact, and then, yeah, it's just that redirection.
Adelaide yet to have a corner in the game. With 10 minutes of regulation to go in the first half, this will be the Mariners' third.
And just notice that the Adelaide setup in terms of their defensive corners, it's all zonal, and they've probably had, you know, their 5-week preseason. It's going to take time for them to get used to these defensive structures if they haven't played it historically.
Sliced onto the roof of the net. That could have well have been an own goal there for Holtz. Luck's a fortune as it goes out for another corner kick. Didn't look like the most threatening cross from Annabelle Martin until Jenna Holtz tried to clear it.
Certainly wasn't, and I've touched on the need to redirect it into a good area, and if Holtz just locks her ankle there, that potentially goes up higher or out for a throw-in, not another corner.
Ergamal standing in the keeper's line of sight, otherwise it's an empty 6-yard area for the Mariners. Now numbers converge. Martin drives it in. First head is Holmes again. Didn't know much about it, but it's going to fall kindly. Sarah Morgan is able to win a throw and get Adelaide out of pressure, relatively speaking.
And this is one of those moments of momentum where we've seen consecutive corners. Adelaide now, they're a little bit pinned in, and they're going to have to break the Central Coast defence and try and regain some meaningful position higher.
Well, that pass from Tonkin was one that sold Tolland into a bit of trouble there. Back to goal, defenders pressing, but they get away with a goal kick, fortunately for them. Just A-League appearance number 9 for 21-year-old Zoe Tolland today, debuted last season. And in the absence of Marushka Waldes, she's been given the responsibility of playing at centre-back.
And it's fantastic to see she's been rewarded. She's a NTC product, an Adelaide girl. She's tidy on the ball. She's just a consistent, reliable player for Adelaide. Pleasing to see she's getting some more minutes.
Here's Blake, who's on for the pass here, ultimately concedes ground to the aforementioned Tolland. Jenkins wants to switch flanks. Drives that to a central right position where Janchevsky is waiting. She will turn and go out into open space for Hannah Blake. And now Adelaide are away. Taylor's in the middle. Run coming from Hodgson. Oh, not on the same wavelength. Went looking over the wrong shoulder. The ball was coming over the left one.
And I touched on earlier the decision-making around underlapping and overlapping. The space was on the outside for Hodgson there, and if she just changes her positioning there, then potentially she does receive it in a wider area.
Emily Hodgson playing at right back today, which is her natural position, but the captain of the club, Isabel Hodgson, out injured for the first couple of weeks of the season. Normally plays that position, meaning that Emily Hodgson, no relation, has had to play left back the last couple of seasons as a right footer. So it's not an unfamiliar role, and I do wonder if she's still finding her way to that position or if Adelaide have made a switch here. In the meantime, the Mariners going to work. Annabelle Martin. Combative in midfield. Really well done by Galich to hold off a couple of opponents, and now gets the ball with a bit of breathing room. Gomez. And Lee able to steal it off her toes. Gomez back in on Janchevsky. So is this a permanent change here, Leah, midway through the first half? Emily Hodgson to left back, and Jenna Holtz, the American, appears to have gone over to right back.
It could be. It could be the result of their positioning from their defensive corners, and they haven't been able to actually switch back. Tara, Yeah, give me a couple more minutes and I'll let you know.
Wait for a break in play then. Here's Holmes trying to feed it through to Blake, and the pass is intercepted. For now, it is still Holtz, the number 14, chasing Paige Hayward here. Holmes flicks it on. Morgan caught in possession. Galich. Pass intercepted. Morgan. And asking a bit too much of Blake here. Intercepted by Morgan. King's pass picked off. Is it coming back with interest? Taylor denied. Dinked over the top. Janchevsky, clever, knocking it onto her own advantage here. And was her run obstructed? The referee is on the side of the defender there, and the home fans that have made their way into Cooper Stadium, perhaps right to ask the question there about obstruction.
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely appropriate to ask the question. In terms of Wardlow, I think she steps into the path of Janchevsky there. It's clever defending.
And a great little half rainbow kick there to flip the ball over the shoulder and set up that opportunity to begin with. 5 minutes of regulation to go in the first half. Adelaide starting to win the ball back in more advanced positions. Taylor with a step over. Holmes now brilliantly working through a couple of challenges, but then passed it into the heels of her teammate in Lee. And so the Mariners, through Wardlow, can come away. Wardlow. Out to the left it goes, and Hayward not advantaged by the pass. Holtz, though, a little ponderous over the ball and eventually arches it out for a goal kick. And I'm telling you, Leah, they've swapped the fullbacks. I'm definitely going with it now. There's Jasmine Wardlow, one of the many American connections in the league. Will we get a goal before half-time? Both teams have had golden opportunities. Haven't been able to take them so far. Martin turned and protected the ball, and Hodgson was not able to pull up in time. Yeah,
and that's an unnecessary foul by Hodgson there. Martin's received the ball in a position where she's not facing forward, so her options in that moment are either to pass the ball backwards or dribble towards the sideline. She just needs to stay on her feet.
Was it a yellow card foul, though, as we see the first player of the game go into the book?
Look, slightly late. I'm not an expert referee. I'll throw that out there right now. So I'm not giving it as a foul, but obviously a lot closer to the play than I am and has made this decision.
82 games today for Hodgson, so avoiding injury and suspension will be key to her getting to the 100-game milestone before the end of the campaign. And as a defender, she's going to be on duty right here at the end of the first half as the Mariners. We saw the corner count earlier. It's now 4-0, and they are starting to rack up attacking chances here to score. As you can see from the flag, very gentle breeze favouring the end they're attacking. Quick 1-2 from the corner. Badouia, a bending cross, free header at the far post. Ergamal didn't make great contact. It slides in regardless. Taryn King got the touch, and the Mariners are ahead. It's their first goal upon returning to the Liberty A-League.
And I hate to say I told you so, but set pieces, tracking runners, the quality of the Central Coast delivery takers in King and Galich. You see with Badouia there, the delivery and the redirection by Wardlow across the 6-yard box. It's a clever and well-worked set piece by the Central Coast Mariners.
I don't think we're taking this off Taryn King. Was it already over the line before Tonkin boots it into the roof of the net? I don't want to be the Grinch. That's Taryn King's goal. Just her second in the Liberty A-League. And her first, obviously, for the Mariners. What a great moment for Central Coast. They have scored their first goal upon returning to the competition. First goal since 2009.
Tremendous occasion for the Central Coast and well-deserved to Taryn King, who has been threatening on set pieces.
It took Taryn King more than 50 games to score her first A-League women's goal. It came last season in February when she was playing for Newcastle against Western United. Now she's got 2 in 58. It's a streak, Leah. It's what you want out of your tall central defenders.
Joel King, are you watching?
Of course, brother Joel, the Socceroo and Sydney FC player, will be thrilled, along with the rest of the family, no doubt. Now, shouts for a handball at the other end, and that would have been quite the accident to gift back the advantage, but the referee, Casey Rybelt, was not interested as we tick into the final minute of the first half.
And it's an important minute for the Central Coast. Obviously, they've just scored their first goal this season, and now it's about just playing with a little bit of composure and going into half-time with the lead.
Can Adelaide strike back before the break? What a turn this game will have taken if that's the case. Crunching from Irwin. Here's another look at the shout for handball. Wardlow right into her own teammate. I don't think any referee's giving that a handball, though.
No, I agree.
It's not where Wardlow wanted to send the header in any case. So, how much stoppage at the end of the first half? We had a couple of minor delays, the Ashley Irwin one being the longest. Morgan wants her left side, can't find it. Firm challenge from Galich. Now Martin. Ergamal. Up comes Tolland. Three additional minutes to end the first half, so plenty of time for Adelaide to hit back. Rosetta Taylor, who had arguably Adelaide's best chance of the first half. Blake not able to consolidate on the ball, though. King, the goal scorer, clears from the centre of defence. Attempt to prod the ball on. Intercepted and now cleared out just inside the attacking half for the Mariners. Adelaide with a very attack-minding bench if they need to chase the game in the second half. Amelia Murray and Chrissy Panagaris amongst the substitutes. Bergamal, Trimis. Gomez lost out on that occasion to Holtz. Goalkeeper just at the edge of the penalty area and able to boot it away.
And Newborn does well there, and a lot has to do with her proactive positioning. She's high enough that she's connected to her back line that she can just come out and deal with that, no issues.
Holmes, early ball, and a little too forcefully struck. So just over half of stoppage time has been negated for Central Coast so far. What do you think the halftime team talk is from Adrian Stenter, though, as his team really conceded a lot of the balance of open play to Central Coast in this half?
Yeah, and you mentioned the word open. I think the game has been very open. That doesn't suit Adelaide. They want to play short, sharp, angled passes where they're close and connected. And once it becomes highly transitional and very open, that's not going to suit this Adelaide side. So he's going to be asking for a little bit more composure. You know, the girls, the distances between them to play closer and just really focus on their pass quality. The execution of their passes has been off today.
Lee trying to take on the Mariners midfield single-handedly, and Ergamal. Morgan, just seconds to go. A lot will have to go right for Adelaide from here if they want to pull level. And Newbond's clearance gets into the attacking half of the Central Coast. Badawia, now Trimis. It's going to deflect kindly here. Toland's got to go, and Badawia picks her pocket. And eventually, the referee says, that'll do. It was an intriguing little duel, but a bit too much contact in the pursuit.
Yeah, you know, definitely a little bit too much contact there. In terms of a little bit of game management, though, this is going to probably eat up, you know, 20, 30 seconds. For the remainder of the half. As you can see, Badawia there just a little bit heavy with dropping the shoulder with Toland.
And it's been accompanied by the halftime whistle. So, Taryn King, Central Coast captain, Central Coast's first goal scorer for the first time in more than a decade, takes us to the halftime break with a scoreline of Adelaide United 0, Central Coast Mariners 1. Young Matilda's coach Leah Blaney is here to look at the highlights from that first half, and there were so many chances for a goal. Eventually we got one, but early doors it was Roller Badawea here.
Yeah, there was definitely some good half chances on the back end of, as you can see, Isabel Gomez's clever little no-look pass, and again, some last-ditch defending by Zoe Toland there.
This led to a series of corners. Adelaide on the receiving end of numerous set-piece chances. This was Adelaide's best chance to score, though. Rosetta Taylor round the keeper. Ashley Irwin desperate defending.
Yeah, and again, the pass quality of Janchevsky, I think Taylor there, just it's a toe poke. I don't think rounding the keeper was the best decision.
And then a nice set-piece routine. Actually came off the back of Holt's Taryn King, and we're not taking it off her. And it was going in regardless. You'd have to be a Grinch to call that an own goal. It's Taryn King's goal, and it's the difference between the two teams at halftime.
Yeah, definitely gifting that to Taryn King, but also a bit of a learning moment for Ella Tonkin.
What do the numbers tell us that the game otherwise didn't in the first half? Does anything jump out to you? Other than, I mean, for me, the offside count was pretty elevated in that half, but what else catches your eye?
No, I think obviously when we look at possession, we've got to break it down to what is meaningful possession. At the end of the day, the Central Coast Mariners are up 1-0 because they've made the most of the chances that they've created.
Stay with us here. This is the Liberty A-League, start of round 2, the halftime break, and we'll be back with live action soon.
Group, they looked much better round 1 in terms of their positivity and their intent and the closeness between their lines to execute the style of football Centre wants out there.
Whistle to start the second half. No substitutions during the halftime break. Means we kick off with the 11s that started the match. And as we see a cross in from Bianca Galich to get things underway, we have one goal scorer in Taryn King and just the one yellow card as well in Emily Hodgson, who was booked late in the first half. That's the only one that the referee took serious interest in as far as serious fouls. For now, though, still all to play for, and Adelaide do not want to go 2 games without winning to start the new campaign. Free kick here to be taken by Jasmine Wardlow. And now the goalkeeper Newbon with a long pass. Paige Hayward knocked off the ball. We're being told from ground level that Adrian Stenter, the Adelaide United coach, received a yellow card for dissent in that first half as well. So perhaps that explains the more relaxed nature for him, sitting in the dugout at the start of the second 45. Here's Trimis. And now Annabelle Martin playing the pass to Badawea.
And I think just having Trimis in this starting lineup, it's given this Central Coast side more mobility. She's been lively all first half and really had a positive impact.
Holtz's pass intercepted, and now Gomez, just a slow roller into midfield, creating a battle for Badawea, which she was able to win. The Mariners have grown in confidence extraordinarily. A marked difference between last week against the Jets, which was such a difficult stop-start game, and the fluency with which they've played today.
They have, and I think a lot of it has to do with the good possession bouts that they've had. If you've had the ball, you're more inclined to continue to want to attack and continue to want to be on the ball and create greater chances higher up the pitch.
Em Husband there, deep in conversation with her brains trust. As we see the ball just roll out here for a goal kick, harmlessly in the end.
And just on that, I think I'll add a point of difference is Adelaide are employing a less aggressive press than the Jets. So the Central Coast Mariners today actually do have more time to make decisions and pick players out.
Jenna Holtz to bring the ball in. Lee able to extract it out of a 1-on-2. Brilliantly done. Now Taylor doesn't get the elevation on the cross though. Dealt with by King. And then Wardlow finds the safety of the touchline. Bit of a start-stop, 3 minutes to begin the second half. Blake. Holmes had to backtrack. Went in late on Tremis. Advantage given by the referee. And now that's a neat pass from Gomez out into space for Badawia. Badawia biding her time here against Holtz. Swings in the cross and had too much height on it to bring Ergamal into play. Grabbed neatly by Jenkins. And now Adelaide down the left flank. Janchevsky waiting for the right pass to appear. Sneaks it underneath to Lee. Holmes. Mariners very organised behind the ball. Holtz. Taylor. Tremis gave the ball away. Holmes. Lee back to goal. Morgan. Now Rosetta Taylor. Well, the first touch was just lacking there. Had to go and chase after it. That allowed the defenders to turn it into a bit of a scrap, and Janchevsky trying to bring it under her control here. Mariners thought it was a dangerous attempt at the ball there, but play continues. There's a real jumble from Adelaide. They very nearly turned it into a shot. But the Mariners' defence prevails once again.
Yeah, certainly a scrappy passage by both sides there. Probably want to see a little bit more patience by Adelaide. The Central Coast defence, they're in good positions to protect that central goal zone, and it's more about getting the ball down and connecting your passes and probably trying to use a little bit more width in that front third to draw those Mariners out.
Tonkin. Now Holtz. Back to Jenkins. Now Tolland. Zoe Tolland. Almost up to halfway. And Janchevsky down the line. And Irwin is sanctioned. There's the Mariners bench. Some of their subs available to them, including Annalise Rasmussen, who started last week, as did Tiana Karambassis, the Queenslander, Alexia Karastal and Shadeen Evans as well. And you can see sitting in the middle of those faces there on the sidelines at her third A-League Women's Club. Previously played for both Adelaide and Sydney FC.
And I'd love to see the addition of Shadeen Evans later on in the half, just to bring that extra level of energy and intensity for this Central Coast side with forward runs and her ability to exploit space in behind.
Scored on her debut back in 2019 and has been hunting a second A-League women's goal ever since. Ball over the top here. Blake. Promising for Adelaide here. One-on-one against King. Lee calls for it in the middle, but the cross picks out Izzy Gomez instead. It lacked the delivery that Adelaide were hoping for, and now Tremis can really stretch the game in the other direction. Ergamal breaking one side, Badawia and Hayward on the other. Badawia just labored it onto the right foot, got to Hayward in the end. Neat underneath pass, Ergamal! Good save by Jenkins. And the Mariners, just when they looked like they'd overcooked the chance, still turned it into a shot on target.
Yeah, it was a great save by Jenkins there. She covers her near post well, makes it a really, really tough angle. In terms of the decision-making by Ergamal, I think she needs to cut that ball back. You've got Badawia in a perfect position at the top of the penalty spot, who really should be screaming, and maybe she was, for the ball in that moment because she's in a better position to score.
Well, Trimis wanted the tap in at the 6-yard box as well. Mariners corner, Jenkins with one fist. Not enough to get it away, but it deflects out off Wardlow for a goal kick.
And once again, we're seeing a Central Coast Mariners player free in the box in a goal-scoring position. Adelaide really need to tighten up their positioning here and make sure that runners aren't able to receive the ball and make contact.
And if you've only just joined us for the second half, just as we were wrapping up at half-time, Leah, you did say the Mariners will prefer the transitional game, opportunity to counter-attack into open space, and that's exactly what they did right there. Adelaide aren't able to take away one of their main weapons at the moment.
No, and that's what they need to nullify. They need to apply greater pressure on the ball when they are losing it in transition moments, and not allow Central Coast to break away with players like Trimis, who are lightning quick and are going to really cause some damage if the game continues this way.
King has to be hurried into the pass. Wardlow passing it to Badawia. Back to Wardlow. Adelaide trying to press with a bit more intensity in this half, but the Mariners are able to play around it. Irwin. Martin is the outlet. Slides it inside to Trimis. Got the feet right and slotted it over the top. Neat pass. Badawia, keepers out. Ergamal didn't keep it down. And chances are presenting for the Central Coast to double their lead.
And just in terms of Ergamal's finishing there, she just leans back a little bit too much, and if she actually just leans over the ball and strikes that with her laces, it's a higher chance of being on target.
The Mariners would be well within their rights to feel as though they should be 2-0 up, if not 3. 10 minutes into the second half, they are starting to take this game away. Can they apply the finishing touch, though? Gallage. Martin. First time ball over the top. And Tolland is able to find the safety of the line.
And as you can see, in terms of Trimis's distribution there, it's a tidy little forward run by Badawia, and I mentioned the need for Ergamal just to be a little bit more clinical in that moment and have a little bit more polish on that finish.
Bending cross, unmarked players here. Ergamal! The goal is coming! And the Central Coast Mariners lead by 2. It's the Chinese international forward, Ergamal, who scores here, and they had a celebration ready to go. It's all smiles for the Central Coast.
And that's an excellent delivery by Isabel Gomez. It's played into an area behind this Adelaide defence. It's well weighted, clever little ball in, and a fantastic forward run by Ergamal to be in the right spot at the right time, and then she's done well with the finish there.
Lashed into the top corner of the net, just absentee defending from Adelaide, and after 10 minutes of solid pressure, and if ever you could see a goal coming, this was like the dark looming rain clouds of goals, and all of a sudden the downpour arrived. What about the celebration? Because last season we saw Zhao Yuyi not really work out at Adelaide. We saw Wu Chengshu in and out of the Canberra team, not really able to, find her best football. So the language and cultural barrier, in a footballing sense, for Ergamal, coming from the province in Inner Mongolia, how important is it that she is able to be integrated into this Mariners team and be a communicator that can understand what her teammates are doing and be able to basically find her best football?
Yeah, you can see what it meant to Ergamal in that moment and what it meant to her teammates, and that's the great thing about the world game and what our international imports can bring to sides. The learnings when there is language barriers and those kind of things is great to see.
And as for the game state itself, Adelaide 2-0 down at home. A couple of delighted fans just enjoying some Liberty A-League action. Ergamal here. The Mariners are going to be walking on air. Wardlow. Hayward. Early cross and sent behind for a corner kick. It's all Central Coast at the moment. Here's that goal celebration. I think they had this prepared, so the extracurriculars going pretty well. Simple, but these sort of things can mean the world, especially to a new player, new country, new language.
Yeah, it's a fantastic moment for the individual player, but also the club and what it means for this side who are new to the league and currently are winning 2-0. It's really, really pleasing.
Adelaide need a goal line stand here just to limit the damage and give themselves a fighting chance of getting back into the game. As the crowd swells, it's a double header. Maybe they will find a second win. For now, Central Coast want to go again. Header away by Janchevsky, knocked back into the box. Trimmis freeing the feet. Trimmis parried. It sits up and it's saved again. Brilliantly done by Jenkins. And Annabelle Martin, who has never scored in the Liberty A-League through 47 games, won't have come much closer than that.
Oh, and really good goalkeeping by Jenkins. You can see she makes the initial save. She's quick up on her feet again and making it a really tough angle for Martin. This young girl's had a fantastic debut match today for me.
Yet another corner to deal with, though. Martin, the corner taker, to shouts of offside, but managed to get in line just in time. Gomez caught in possession. Morgan. Can Adelaide launch from deep? Here's Blake. Runs straight into the tackle of Hayward. Paige Hayward wrestles the ball away. And so the Mariners continue to roll downhill at the moment. Hayward. Trimmis making space. Asking a lot of Badawir with the pass and not able to bring the ball under her control. Lee. Shut down by King. Bergamal. Badawir holding off the challenge of Tolland. Badawir was telegraphing the left foot coming and ultimately still able to win a corner.
She was, and that's really disciplined defending by Tolland initially, to stay on her feet, to not dive in, and really shows a maturity in her play. I touched on at the start that this is the first season where this young player is getting valuable match minutes, and it's well deserved.
Look at that corner count, 9-0 in the game through an hour. Martin drifting away from the target. Adelaide with numbers. Hodgson only as far as Hayward. And the high ball is nullified by Irwin, but the pass straight onto the head of Blake. And the chase out to the line here was full of energy from Taylor. Did get there first, but ultimately conceded a throw. Bit of activity going on next to the fourth official, so first subs of the match aren't too far away, as we see how Rosetta Taylor committed to at least winning a few metres there, if not possession. Glanced on by Hayward, now Tonkin. Hodgson. Runners ahead of the ball. Hodgson trying to meet Lee. Lee, Holmes caught behind King. Holtz. Taylor. Ran into a 1-on-2 and now struggling for ideas. Back to Holtz and then intercepted by Gomez. You see possession come up there as almost 50-50, but Central Coast have just been able to construct their attacks in a more devastating fashion. Adelaide need a response. Taylor. Who's on in the middle? No one at the moment. Blake. Rolling straight into the challenge of Badawir, and that has to concede some ground. Tolland. Lee is able to bring down the ball. Mariah Lee from distance. Headed away by Wardlow. Now Trivis. Pass goes all the way back to the keeper, Newbon. Now Urgamal brings the ball under control and is trying to break away. Bit of grabbing and grappling going on. Urgamal self-refereed there, but the whistle didn't go. And so the ball is live. Martin can't find Trivis with the pass. You see there, Urgamal just kind of gave up on that phase of play, thinking that surely a foul was going to get called. It never did.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's going both ways there. There's a little bit of a tussle. The lines person is in line with the play there to make that the decision, and Urgamal has to continue to play until she hears that whistle or doesn't hear that whistle.
Mariners still get a throw in. That is today's referee, Casey Rybelt. Martin's throw. Hodgson just knocks it straight back out from whence it came. Gallage at the byline. Tough decision for the assistant referee. Does say it's a goal kick. Great to see some busy ball kids behind the goal too, keeping things neat and tidy. So you can see the sub there. Down next to the fourth official is Amelia Murray. Did score last week as well.
I'm pretty sure she scored in 3 of the last 4 A-League appearances she's had. So I think it's definitely a excellent sub. Maybe a little bit overdue to add a little bit of energy to this front line of Adelaide United.
We also saw there Annie Haffenden potentially coming on, who is a centre back. So there's Haffenden in the foreground, Murray in the background. I wonder if the Mariners are going to respond in kind with a few changes and some fresh legs of their own.
Yeah, and potentially with that sub, Zoe Tollins pushed into a central midfield role, given that we know that she can play in midfield as well.
Ball in here, Adelaide looking for a goal back. Lee just broke the wrong way. Needed a very high degree of difficulty header. So here we go. Amelia Murray to be introduced, and she'll be coming on here for Rosetta Taylor, and Annie Haffenden will be coming on for Jenna Holtz. So a double change here for the Reds. It's a club debut as well for Haffenden, who's come over from the Brisbane Roar, even though she's a Victorian by origin. And that's the end of the game for both Taylor and Holtz. And you see there Annalise Rasmussen and Shadeen Evans are going to be subbed on soon for the Mariners. Haffenden straight into the action, winning a header. And so as far as how this reshapes the Adelaide attack, it looks as though Murray's gone in on the right. And immediately Haffenden is on and looking to make an impact for her new club. What a great pass. Here's the shot. And it just exploded away from Lee. The finish wasn't quite there.
No, it wasn't. It was a great little final pass, and I'm probably going to be fairly critical of Lee this game, given that she's an international player, and we're going to want greater end product, whether it's in those moments in the box or some of her passing in the middle to front third.
27-year-old Mariah Lee, most recently playing for Sporting Huelva in Spain. Here's Haffenden again. Absolutely determined to come on and make an impact. Funnily enough, was playing for Calder United, the Western United affiliate club, through the winter, but ultimately not able to seal a contract in her home state, and so Adelaide came calling. And now here's a corner kick coming up for Adelaide. You can see there's just a step up in urgency that's accompanied the substitutions here.
Yeah, and probably the right amount of energy to come at a good time. There's still enough time on the clock for Adelaide to claw back into this match, Teo.
Goal here would be a good start. Holmes, slide rule pass, and Morgan. There is the goal! Ella Tonkin, for the first time in the Liberty A-League, is a goal scorer. Adelaide are quick to retrieve the ball. There's all sorts of shenanigans going on as the Mariners try to hold up the momentum, but the celebrations are with the centre-back, Ella Tonkin.
And is it her first or her second goal of the game, Teo?
Well, I think it's her first. There's the other goal scorer, Taryn King. And that was very neatly worked by Adelaide from the corner routine. Talk us through it.
Oh, it was really well-worked move. As you can see, the Central Coast side step up with the short corner. Great positioning by Ella Tonkin, who you want in a central area in that moment, given her aerial presence and just the joy and delight in her face before she's even hit the ground. You can see what it means to Ella to score for Adelaide United.
And after missing the majority of last season with a foot injury, there's the afters. Hannah Blake and Taryn King. It turned into rugby at that point as one and then the other were trying to just get the ball back to the middle. Mariners respond with some subs, so the goal doesn't change their thinking. Peter Trimmis is coming off here, and Annalise Rasmussen coming on. And the other change was Rolla Badawea off for Shadeen Evans. So there's Rasmussen, who started last weekend, coming into the game, the 18-year-old. And so the Mariners had those subs ready before the goal there. Interesting that they've still gone through with them after the goal.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what these additions bring. I've touched on Shadeen Evans, her energy and her work rate, so she's going to bring that level of intensity. And we saw Rasmussen last week show some good signs in terms of her link play.
Now, we've been told that Ella Tonkin also got booked in the aftermath of the goal, so even though she didn't appear to be one of the ones that got into the malarkey trying to get the ball back to the middle, but something must have happened that caught the referee's eye.
Yeah, definitely unsure on that. Ella's one of the sweetest kids going around, so it certainly wouldn't have been for dissent. I'm not sure what the off-camera action was.
All right, we've had it since confirmed that it was for Taryn King, the yellow card in the aftermath, so not Ella Tonkin. So ignore that. It was King, and that means that Hodgson for Adelaide, King for the Mariners will have to watch their step in these final 20 minutes, especially if it remains willing. There's been a decent level of spirit building throughout the game, hasn't there? And all it takes is a squabble like that after a goal gets scored and trying to return the ball to the middle of the ground to really turn up the heat on both sets of players.
Yeah, absolutely. And Taryn King, she's a passionate player. This is a key game management moment. Adelaide want the ball back to halfway to take a quick restart from the kickoff, and obviously for Central Coast they want to slow the game down.
I mean, I think the only thing Hannah Blake got there was a new set of 6, Leah. What on earth are they doing? Of course it's a yellow card if you go and do that after a goal gets scored. And there's Taryn King.
And this is where King's going to have to show a little bit of maturity and understand that she is on a yellow card. So in terms of questioning referee decisions and those moments where she's going to have to make last-ditch tackles as a defender, she's going to have to be very mindful.
Confirmation there of the subs as well. Shadeen Evans now on the pitch, meaning she's represented 3 clubs in this league. Adelaide, Sydney FC, and now the Central Coast Mariners. Here go Adelaide. Can they score 2 in quick succession? Haffenden keeps the ball moving at all costs. Was wiped out. Yellow card as well. Izzy Gomez into the book. And a mid-range free kick here, probably outside of shooting range.
Yeah, in saying that, Alani Janchevsky's just picked the ball up, and we know from what we've seen in the NPL Victoria what she's capable of from this range. So you know, I'm probably going to back Janchevsky to have a go in this moment, following this opportunity. I think in terms of where Central Coast are at, they're going to have to bring it together a little bit and just relax and calm down and tone down you know, the mentality here where they're giving away silly fouls.
The elation of going 2-0 up is starting to feel like a bit of a distant memory because there's so much of this game to go. And you're right to mention Janczewski scored a free kick from a slightly closer in against Perth Glory last year, which was a phenomenal dead ball shot on goal. This is going to take her absolute very best. Janczewski with 4 in the wall, and it bends wide of the target in the end.
And it's a difficult range for Janczewski to get the ball up and over, so I can see why she's tried to go around in that moment. But again, we've seen how the quality she does have on set pieces, so we are going to expect more from her if she gets that moment again.
Game number 27 today for the 20-year-old. 7 goals across Perth and Adelaide so far in her career. Like Haffenden, another Victorian that's yet to actually play a match in the Liberty A-League for a club from her home state. You see the shot count there. Mariners 13-5. Can't help but think that just wave of chances they had when the game was 1-0, and then they finally broke through for 2-0 when Ergamal scored. But that was the opportunity to be out of sight, maybe 3 or 4-0 up before this Adelaide comeback. Annabelle Martin able to win a corner here, so the Mariners have it back down at their attacking end.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Adelaide deal with the likes of Rasmussen and Shay Evans now added to this set-piece setup, given that we know that aerially they're both very, very good players.
So the goalkeeper on debut, Claudia Jenkins, listening to her Adelaide City teammate Dylan Holmes organise the defence here. Ahead of defending this corner kick. Martin, an outswinger. Rasmussen, first touch of the ball, looped back into the danger by Wardlow, and then cleared away by Haffenden. Here's another look. Rasmussen charged through, but didn't make the most forceful contact. And then a bit of volley exchange, and away it went. Murray. The subs linking up. Haffenden slides under the boot of Holmes. Galich. Martin making space. Murray looking to press the ball. Wardlow, cool as you like. Followed away by Tolland. Gomez.
And you can hear Stenter on the sidelines driving his group to reduce those spaces and press and really put this Central Coast side under a little bit more pressure in their build-up, and that's where they're going to see success and see turnovers.
Hodgson. Morgan looking for an angle, steps inside.
Good, Annie. Touch. Good.
Amelia Murray from wide on the right, dispossessed by Shadeen Evans, and now Evans can go. Trying to build a head of steam here. Shadeen Evans just decelerates, cuts back in, looks for a teammate, and a bending ball across the face of goal. Ultimately intercepted and dealt with by Hodgson. And now Adelaide looking to exploit some gaps. Lee hanging off the last defender here. Taryn King comes across, but Lee keeps possession. It's Mariah Lee. Contact behind play. Lee's got to go solo here and cuts it back for Janczewski, who goes high. And you just saw Blake there as cramped up as a result of that collision off the ball going into the penalty area that ultimately left Lee 1-on-4.
And this is where we see Lee a dangerous player in a more advanced position. She's able to look to try and take people on 1v1, and if not, she recycles there. And I touched on at the start of the game, this is where we want to see her, as opposed to dropping deep and not really affecting the play.
Now you see there, I think Blake actually tries to initiate the contact with Izzy Gomez, if anything, and collapses, cramping up as a result. Bit of a bizarre incident there. Now it's Taryn King's turn to cramp up. See, that right knee is quite heavily bandaged, but the pickle juice is out. She's all right to continue. Are you a believer in the pickle juice, Leah?
Absolutely. It's
when your players have to drink it, do you lead by example? Do you show them it's all right to drink by drinking some first?
Whatever's going to get them up and continue to run, I'm happy with, Sarah.
Watch out for those little green bottles throughout the season. If you're ever wondering what it is, it's pickle juice to help with the cramping. Adrian Stenter back to prowling his technical area. Can sense a comeback from the home team here. For starters, that goal from Tonkin is the first time Adelaide have scored against the Mariners in the Liberty A-League. We mentioned earlier in the half that in the 3 head-to-head meetings back in 2008 and 2009, they drew a blank, while the Mariners scored 14. Tonkin returns, Toland I should say, returns to the centre of defence, and Annabelle Martin not thinking about a long throw. Crowd starting to create a bit more atmosphere here as Adelaide look to defend the situation. Back heel from Hodgson, a little bit hot to handle. Bit of consternation on the sideline about the throw-in. Martin swinging it into the box. It clears all and sundry, and ultimately Haffenden was nudged out by Hayward for an Adelaide free kick. Lee trying to bring down Tonkin's long ball. Blake leaves it for Holmes. Gomez sold Evans into trouble, but Evans thought nothing of it, just barged through Sarah Morgan and continues on for the Mariners. Evans unable to slide it underneath. Now the ball's been booted out, so we've got a player down and hurt. I suspect, oh, it's Sarah Morgan there, and no VAR in the A-League Women's, Leah, so that decision comes and goes.
Yeah, and I think there's certainly no malice in that challenge. We know that Shay Evans isn't going to shy away from a 50-50, and both players' knees have just connected in that moment, and Morgan's come off second best.
Ten minutes of regulation to go. Central Coast holding on to what could be a statement win. Adelaide trying to come back from 2-0 down. Hergemal able to hold off the defender. Illegally, says the referee. And a last warning for time wasting, not a booking. Play restarts. Haffenden and Morgan. Morgan able to break through. Murray from wide on the right, first time ball. Irwin with the header. Holmes up into the neck of Galich, and then Holmes went in and felled Galich with the tackle. Free kick given Central Coast's way. Right on the jaw, and Galich didn't take it back with 7. Look at that, the pincer movement around her right leg that ended up tumbling to the ground. It's willing. It's become an increasingly tense game as time has progressed, and Alexia Karras-Stahl is the latest substitute that's been called upon by the Mariners. One season at Canberra, campaign before last, and this is just her 6th appearance in the A-League Women's as she comes on here for Hergemal, who won't forget today because it's the day she scored her first A-League Women's goal.
Yeah, and I think Husband's going to be quite pleased with Hergemal's performance today. She's been involved in a lot of the build-up for Central Coast. She's got on the scoreboard herself, and yeah, I think she's been a great addition to this starting 11.
I think we're going to have to say Coach Husband, otherwise there's going to be a lot of confused first-time viewers, Leah. Here's a ball across the top of the area. Mariners shooting, and it's just wide from Galich, who herself has just the one A-League women's goal in her career, and ultimately ended up hitting the support stand behind the net. Morgan. Adelaide looking to keep the ball tempo up as they chase this game. Morgan, a toe poke along, Haffenden to Lee, and ultimately things come unstuck. Galich just repels away. Here's Murray. Lee made a run down the right. Now the ball is heading forward with the aid of a deflection. Adelaide bench is shouting for everything from the sidelines now. And ultimately the Mariners win the throw. What do you make of the Karras-style substitution? Is there an element of defending from the front now for the Mariners as well by bringing her on?
Yeah, look, I think all subs that have been made have been made in an attempt to bring on some greater intensity and continue to win the ball higher up the pitch, which is a tactic employed that I quite like.
Adelaide advancing here. Blake went to ground. Referee had a perfect view. Hayward skips out to the left. No passing Haffenden though. Blake can come back for Adelaide. Blake waiting and waiting on the ball, twisted around. Things become a little crowded. Haffenden's there, winning possession back for the Reds. Hodgson. And now Hodgson right back into the traffic. Morgan, look at that, 1-on-3, and she kept the ball, decided to go for glory. And it ultimately tumbled wide. Adelaide won a corner. The referee says it's a goal kick.
Yeah, and look, in terms of the Mariners defending there, they're not going to be pleased that nobody made a decent challenge, and Morgan was allowed to pretty much walk through them and get a shot off. They've got to be better as individuals in that moment.
Evans starting to stretch the game the other way. Haffenden comes across, Evans keeps possession, goalkeeper drawn out, and Tonkin got there first. Has to concede a corner, and that will take us into the last 5 minutes of regulation.
And as you can see, the quality that Shay Evans brings, she's quite a direct player, and that's excellent cover by Ella Tonkin to ensure that there isn't a clear path to goal.
Score here, and you'd think the Mariners will be celebrating their first win upon returning to the A-League Women's. They've got the ball down the right end as far as they're concerned. Adelaide looking to launch a counter-attack as soon as they clear. Martin's corner. Bending in, all Adelaide in the air. Tonkin with the header. At the edge of the box, Adelaide numbers are there. Morgan looks up the pitch. Who's breaking? Lee is off and running, but that pass only succeeds in picking out Taryn King. Now Galich. Karras-style, the most recent sub. Collapsed to the ground. Referee having none of it. Morgan. Hodgson. Looking up at Paige Hayward here, and a burst of speed from Emily Hodgson. Only lead to aim for in the box. Late runners arriving at the edge of the area. Look at the huge amount of space there. And now Morgan, ball stuck between the feet, is going to lift it into the area. Janchevski waiting, and it was offside against Blake.
Yeah, and Central Coast are doing well at getting numbers behind the ball early in these transition moments. They're well set up. They're in good areas to protect that central goal zone. In terms of Adelaide, they have to make more of these opportunities in terms of their decision making. You can't be crossing the ball when you don't have forward runs and an organised defence in place to deal with that.
Murray, block tackle, and Adelaide ball. Martin. Oh, bit of afters here. Annabelle Martin and Amelia Murray. The Reds don't appear to have a long throw specialist, so they'll just take it quickly. Haffenden, left-footed cross into the box, sits up, Janchevski's there. Irwin able to win the ball and boot away. Big test here for the Mariners. 3 precious points to hold on to here. Gallich just pondered on the ball. Holmes came in and was able to win an Adelaide throw. 3 minutes to go. Ball knocked out to the right. Murray off and racing. Who's making ground in the middle though? Wardlow makes it a moot point by blocking the cross out for a corner. Or was it a corner or a throw? It's right down in the corner. Just a throw. Janczewski. Tonkin goes for distance. Hayward, the volley. Hodgson shooting, deflected, sits up kindly. Blake is there and shot it straight at the keeper. And Hannah Blake, Adelaide's best chance for an equaliser yet. But Courtney Newborn was equal to it.
Yeah, and it was a decent half chance there for Blake. Newborn's done really well in terms of her positioning to protect that near post space. So credit to our goalkeepers today who have done that quite well.
And at the other end, Rasmussen with 2 minutes to go, trying to just make sure that Claudia Jenkins was still switched on. Caught, rolled back out, Adelaide off and running. 15 shots to 7, you see the total tally there. Leah, I know that whether it's a Mariners win or a draw could be vital in your assessment, but who would you say your unofficial player of the match is as we tick towards full time? I'll leave you a phase of play to ponder in what's been a very even game that's had lots of ebbs and flows. It's Adelaide on top at the moment. Murray dispossessed by Martin. Now Wardlow. Here's Tolland. Hayward jumped the pass, saw it coming, and now can launch a counter-attack for the Mariners. Hayward, Evans making a run. Beautifully done by Evans. Stayed onside. Cuts back in. Shadeen Evans. Shot blocked. And now over the bar it goes from Paige Hayward. And so time is the enemy here. As we tick towards stoppage time. There's Chrissy Panagaris, Adelaide's last roll of the dice here. Another attacker, had a great winter in the NPL South Australia season. As we tick into 4 minutes of additional time, bit of confusion in the Mariners' defence, and the ball is looped away.
Yeah, I think back to your original question, Teo, I think Taryn King has been exceptional today for the Central Coast Mariners at both ends. She's possibly scored a goal at one end and been a stalwart in that central goal zone at the other end defensively for the Mariners.
And so this final Adelaide substitution, you see players making the most of the break to recover from more cramp here. Taryn King for the second time in the game getting a stretch out. Scored the opening goal of the game. Has had to do a lot of defending in the last 10 minutes, and now Chrissy Panagaris is into the action. Just her 5th appearance, yet to score. There would never be a better time than now to find a first Liberty A-League goal. And she comes on replacing Hannah Blake, who had that great chance for the equaliser a few moments ago. Touch inside, Janczewski not quite away. Hodgson, Holmes laying it back in. Big 50-50. King went. Holmes just a swing of the left foot. Not a great deal of direction to it, and dealt with on one bounce by Newborn. Gomez out to Martin on the left. Do the Mariners go to the corner? That's where Martin's pointing. Evans makes the run there. And Shadeen Evans just trying to hold the ball up. And, well, a few seconds off the clock. Adelaide, if nothing else, have got to go end to end. Half of stoppage time has expired. And a free kick going Adelaide United's way. Leah, in this sort of situation where it's just desperation stakes, we'll see the Mariners sub on Tiana Karambas is here to waste a little bit more time. She'll come on for Izzy Gomez. What do Adelaide do? Would they have trained this scenario where they have one attack that they can execute, where you've only got limited seconds to go and all you need is a goal?
Yeah, look, I think Stenter's already gone to a back three, so now it's about quality service and sustaining some pressure in this front third for Adelaide. They want to keep the ball up here, and they want to be creating chances and pressing, and just for the next, 2 to 3 minutes, having that momentum.
Lee, as we tick to the last minute of stoppage. Hodgson's cross. Headed by Galich. Follow up here for Morgan. Lee calls for it on the outside. Not quite to her advantage though. Irwin clattered Lee. Free kick. One last defensive stand here for the Mariners then.
Yeah, and I hope the goalkeeper's coming up right now, and Adelaide United, given the area of the field, I think they'll treat it a little bit like a corner, and Central Coast will do the same defensively. And we see the last kick of the game could be an opportunity for Adelaide to level.
Yellow card confirmed for Ashley Irwin. I don't want to jinx it, Mariners fans. They have not won a game in the Liberty A-League since the 27th of November, 2009. So closing in on 14 years since their last win. Adelaide trying to spoil that party right here. Janchevski's free kick. Lee out at the near post. Stoppage time is up, and you'd think that will be that. More than a decade in the making, more than a decade in the waiting. A good goal kick here. And will it be accompanied by the referee's whistle? All eyes on the referee. Maybe one more phase of play. Down the wrong end as far as Adelaide are concerned. Haffenden. Murray, gotta go. Deflected attempt at a long ball. Wardlow makes the interception. Adelaide throw. Referee feeling generous. Almost an extra minute on top of the recommended 4. Evans. There it is. The best kind of welcome back to the Liberty A-League for the Central Coast Mariners. And they win for the first time in this competition since November 2009. Goals to King and Ergamal the difference. It finishes Adelaide United 1, Central Coast Mariners 2.
What a lineup tomorrow here on TNT Sports, kicking off with the Merseyside derby at 11. Leicester and Sale go head-to-head at 3, and then we're heading to Abu Dhabi for UFC 294.
We can't make working out any easier, but we can straighten your teeth 3 times sooner than traditional braces.